to, in speaking, which I could use these skills right now, to build self-confidence and to learn about their literary heritage. And as you can see, we have a program. There are more up front. These kids are amazing, and I was really fortunate to be one of the judges in the contest, and it was very, very difficult because everyone was so remarkable. The second part is going to be the Common Thread program that we're celebrating, and that is an annual publication and outreach program produced by Mass Poetry with a goal to facilitate discussion groups throughout the state and to support Massachusetts poets and poetry in general. And we're also very fortunate to have Amy Zayansky, a special guest this evening. The 2014 Massachusetts Book Award winner in poetry for her book Grass Whistle, which is up front. And all the poets that are reading, Mara Bright, Paul Richmond, Dina Sander, and Amy have books available to purchase. So, I think we'll begin. I'd like to invite Abigail Truesdell to read. Yay, Abby!
Hi, I'm Abby Truesdell. I don't have my phone with me, so I hope I can remember it. I've been practicing a lot.
Abby, could you just move over just a little because it's better light there for me to... There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You want to move the... Can you move the podium?
Does the podium need to be moved?
No, the podium doesn't need to be moved. Just using better light. Thank you.
No Coward Soul is Mine, by Emily Bronte. No coward soul is mine, no trembler in the world's storm-troubled sphere. For I see heaven's glory shine, and faith shines equal, arming me from fear. O God within my breast, almighty ever-present deity, life that in me hath rest, as I, undying life, have power in thee. Vain are the thousand creeds that move man's heart, unutterably vain, worthless as withered weeds or idlest froth amid the boundless main, to waken doubt in one, holding so fast to thy infinity, so surely anchored on the steadfast rock of immortality. Though earth and moon were gone, and suns and universes ceased to be, and thou wert left alone, every existence would exist in thee. There is not room for death, nor atom that his might could render void, since thou art being and breath, and what thou art may never be destroyed.
Abby, what made you choose that poem in particular?
Okay, so I first read that poem when I was searching for a poem to do for the competition, obviously. And I read it, and it's just something that I can really relate to. I'm a very strong evangelical Christian, and I feel very strongly about my faith. I love God so much, and that's just something that I read, and I was just like, wow. Like, I could just feel God speaking to me through the poem, and I just wanted to share it with everybody.
Amen.
Thank you. The second part is Common Threads, and that's what we're doing, pulling in the threads, transforming people through verse, and the actual theme is love and what calls us to the things in this world. So I'm interested in what makes someone choose a poem and how that resonates. Sophia Weatherby.
fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high-piled books and carrot trees hold like rich garners the full ripened grain. When I behold upon the night-starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think to myself that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance. And when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think to myself, to love and fame do things to see.
How do you do that? And what was it about the poem that made you choose that to?
Well, when I was first searching for a poem, I thought it had a really nice flow to it, and I think it's
Definitely nice. Is young Joe there?
Alright, this is just like a forewarning. I didn't know we had to memorize it and recite it. So I have this. I'm going to do my best to look down at it like as little as possible, but if I do, just try to like The Powwow at the End of the World by Sherman Alexie. I am told by many that I must forgive, and so I shall. After an Indian woman puts her shoulder to the Grand Coulee Dam and topples it, I am told by many that I must forgive, and so I shall, after the floodwaters burst each successive dam downriver from the Grand Coulee. I am told by many of you that I must forgive, and so I shall, after the floodwaters find their way to the mouth of the Columbia River as it enters the Pacific and causes all of it to rise. I am told by many of you that I must forgive, and so I shall, after the first drop of floodwater is swallowed by that salmon waiting in the Pacific. I am told by many of you that I must forgive, and so I shall, after that salmon swims upstream through the mouth of the Columbia, and then past the flooded cities, broken dams, and abandoned reactors of Hanford. I am told by many of you that I must forgive, and so I shall, after that salmon swims through the mouth of the Spokane River as it meets the Columbia, then upstream, until it arrives in the shallows of a secret bay on the reservation where I wait alone. I am told by many that I must forgive, and so I shall, after that salmon leaps into the night air above the water, throws a lightning bolt at the brush near my feet, and starts the fire which will lead all of the lost Indians home. I am told by many of you that I must forgive, and so I shall, after we Indians have gathered around the fire with that salmon who has 3 stories it must tell before sunrise. One story will teach us how to pray. Another story will make us laugh for hours. The third story will give us reason to dance. I am told by many that I must forgive, and so I shall when I am dancing with my tribe during the powwow at the end of the world. Thank you.
How did you happen to choose that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to look for poems, and I saw saw the name Sherman Alexie because that kind of took the title and the author and like 2 lines of the poem. So I just like narrowed in on his name because I've like read a couple of his books before and I just really like what he does, I guess. So I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's really long. I can't memorize that. But I don't know, I did, and the message is like, almost too much for like me to carry as one person, but I want to.
Great job. And now we have the competition winner of the contest, Naomi Cope.
So, I'm going to be reading a poem that I did at both school competition and regional competition. Sanctuary by Jean Valentine. People pray to each other. The way I say you to someone else. Respectfully. Intimately. Desperately. The way someone says you to me. Hopefully. Expectantly. Intensely. Who deserves? You. Who? I don't know. I don't know how to talk to you. What is it like for you there? Hear love, wanting solitude, and talk, friendship, the uses of solitude. To imagine, to hear, learning Braille, to imagine other solitudes. But they will not be mine. To wait in quiet, not to silent places. What are you afraid of? What will happen? All this leaving. And meetings, yes. But death. What happens when you die? Not shadow. Drown out. Not make a house out of my own words. To be quiet in another throat, other eyes. Listen for what it is like there. But words, but silence, allowing uncertain to drift in the restlessness. Because to run like water. What is it like there, right now? Listen. The crowding of the street, the room, everyone hunches in against the crowding, holding their breath against dread. What do you dread? What happens when you die? What do you dread in this room now? Not listening now, not watching, safe inside my own skin. To die, not having listened, not having asked. To have scattered life. Yes, I know the thread you have to keep finding to follow it back to life. I know. Impossible sometimes.
Would any of you like to do your second poem or another poem that you have? No? Oh, I'm lost. Oh, let's have another poem. I don't know if I thanked Paul Richmond from chosen Commonwealth poem, and then one of our own poems that we feel in some way resonate. And I'd like to ask the audience where you think the thread is, or where the connection is, where the heart of the poem is. So I'm up here, I'm going to start. And I chose that poem, Love Calls Us to the Things of This World, by Richard Wilson. The eyes open to a cry of pulleys, and spirited from sleep, the astounded soul hangs for a moment, bodiless and simple as false dawn. Outside the open window, the morning air is all awash with anger. Some are in bed sheets, some are in blouses, some are in smocks, but truly there they are there. Now they are rising together in calm swells of halcyon feeling, filling whatever they wear with deep joy of their impersonal breathing. Now they are flying in place, conveying the terrible speed of the omnipresent, moving and staying like white water, and now of a sudden they swoon down into so rapt a quiet that nobody seems to be there. The soul shrinks from all that it is about to remember, from the punctual race of every blessed day, and cries, oh, let there be nothing on earth but laundry, nothing but rosy hands in the rising steam, and clear dances done in the sight of heaven. Yet as the sun acknowledges with a warm look at the world's hunks and colors, the soul descends once more in bitter love to accept the waking body, saying now in a changed voice as the man yawns and rises, bring them down from their ruddy gallows. Let there be clean linen for the backs of the thieves. Let lovers go fresh and sweet to be undone, and the heaviest nuns walk in a pure floating of dark habit, keeping their difficult balance. Does anyone know what he's talking about? You do? What is he describing? I had to listen to the program to find out what he was talking about. He's talking about waking up and there's sheets flowing on a line, waking up to line. But, and I should have mentioned that first. And then it all would have made sense. That all these sheets were filling with air and dancing. And it was, I guess, love calls us to the things of this world. I don't know. I may have read this last year. I'm not sure if it was new then. But I don't know if this has a thread or not. It's also about waking in the morning and trying to chase dreams. It's called Interrogating Sheep. Eyes crank the awning, crack the egg of morning, to start the chase like captive string for Shanghai's dreams, a loser's race, to snag the ragged hem of dreams, to stab horizons, shape-shift form, and overturn the driver hag that shoots back arrows poison tipped, calling for a judgment ship to rise and shine and leave it. Peace displaced in pillows, the shadow of a headboard and the dream, to elbow rise and leave it, the cold length and breadth of bed, the rough cut sides of coffin, and just give in or up, I guess, shearing sheep or getting rest, let go young's foresight, orchestra, and embrace instead an oddly veil, and walk a backwards plank of crumbs from whatever business this dream business thinks it has to do with me. Any thread?
Is it linen in the bed and the laundry that women do and people do?
Yes, yes.
Love of a family?
I wrote another poem to go with the other poem. So I went home and found that poem because, I mean, the eyes open to a cry of pulleys. Wait a minute. Eyes crank the army. Our next poet is Mara Bright. She's a certified Dreamer practitioner and instructor. She is also an astrologer, writer, poet, and guide. She's published in Lone Pages, Daily Express, and the author of The Constant Heart, Leveler's Press, 2014, and we have her book here also. And she's so much more than that, but that's what fit on the page. And we worked together in the school library, and we shared writing, poetry, and literature all the time. And I really value that time. She will be reading The Osprey by Mary Oliver.
Yeah, that was a really special time. We did our job also. Look what I just wrote. What do you think of that line? It was wonderful. So, in some ways, this is a typical Mary Oliver poem, and yet there's an edge to it, which is a little bit surprising for me. So, here goes. The Osprey. This morning, an osprey with its narrow black and white face and its cupidinous eyes leaned down from a leafy tree to look into the lake. It looked a long time. Then its powerful shoulders punched out a little and it fell. It rippled down into the water. Then it rose, carrying in the clips of its feet a slim and limber silver fish, a swim of red rubies on its flashing sides. All of this was wonderful to look at, so I simply stood there in the blue morning looking. Then I walked away. Beauty is my work, but not my only work. Later, when the fish was gone forever and the bird was miles away, I came back and stood on the shore thinking. And if you think thinking is a mild exercise, beware. I mean, I was swimming for my life. And I was thundering this way and that way in my shirt of feathers. And I could not resolve anything long enough to become one thing except this, the imaginary. It was inescapable as over and over it flung me, without pause or mercy it flung me, to both sides of the beautiful water, both sides of the mountain. If you want me to ask people what you think Mary Oliver is getting at, well, that's the question that she's asking. I had to read it several times to even begin to see that she, as the imaginer, seems to be embodying both the osprey with its shirt of feathers and the fish seated in its life. And then she trying out both roles, the fish and the osprey, and coming up empty, really, not being able to judge which is the better option, or who is in the right, or, it's all what it is. Does that have anything to add to that?
I think that the whole theme of love calling you to things of this world also is sort of a part of empathy, and that poem, when you are so able to put yourself in both roles, makes it very hard to judge, which is both good and sometimes bad, because sometimes you need to make a judgment, and that's the reality of the world versus the love.
I like that, yeah. I had forgotten about the theme. Yes, the theme of the whole thread. Yeah, that works. Yeah. So I also have written a poem about birds, and I hope I am correct in thinking that these birds are starlings. Those great flocks you see with thousands of birds that are just undulating and swirling and all moving together as if they're in one unit. And beyond that, I challenge you to find the other smart. There may be some. So, starling. Roiling bird mass, accordion of shape, heaving in and out, a breathing paramecium in flight. Who leads what increments of sight or sound or movement inform the rest? This bellows pumping, sighing. What is it that senses rhythm and lies beyond leading or following? Could I reach my arms through, wear this streaming bracelet around my wrist, a twirling pulse, hugging pulse, a simple shared delirium for flight? See any similarities, anything? I see dissimilarities, sure.
I think they both have easy motions. The water's present and the flow, the air, these birds in the water.
Yeah, and this shared delirium for flight, this sense probably all of us have of wanting to take off and fly, so whatever it is. It's a universal thing. So thank you. And Candace, I really wanted to ask the winner of the other contest why you chose that song. And I'm so curious about it because it is such a strong song.
When I first found it, I really struck me that like this reader was talking to someone who wasn't there, who like I don't like they left or if they died. And I read it some more, and through the help of my mom and couple teachers, I kind of realized it was like it's a conversation between someone who's missing someone and someone who's dead. And I did it in honor of a friend of mine who passed away this summer, who I miss very much. And kind of like I feel that conversation. I feel like us taking the role of like the person asking like, why did you leave, and the other person kind of responding and getting more frantic towards the end.
I don't know how Paul Richmond is going to film in a year or two, but I bet he can do it because he is an artist and has been a performer for more than 35 years. He's the author of 3 books and creator of Human Era Publishing, which organizes 2 monthly word events and annual word festivals in Western Massachusetts. And you have a new book about to come out. It has a hammer, very impressive cover. It's called Hammer Harder.
No, you might need a bigger hammer.
You might need a bigger hammer. All right. And Adrian Rich's poem, Prospective Immigrants, Please Note. And why did you choose this poem?
Because there were none left. First, since we were given... I did? Before I do this, though, can we give Candace... Thank yous going on, and she creates a number of venues here, and I think it's great that there's readings here at the library.
We're going to one together. You should talk about
that's
it.
true. Let's stay here. So I'm not sure why I chose this poem. Something about it as I was opening up, it was interesting hearing everybody talk. You open up the book or you're looking through the poems, and all of a sudden, one couple pages and kept coming back, and also I landed on that, and I started reading, and I thought, okay, this is it. And didn't really get for any other reason. Then, as more as I read it, I thought, okay. So here it is. Prospective immigrants, please note. Either you will go through the door or you will not go through. If you go through, there is always the risk of remembering your name. Things look at you doubly, and you must look back and let them happen. If you do not go through, it is possible to live orderly, to maintain your attitude, to hold your position, to die bravely. But much will blind you, much will evade you, and at what cost, who knows? The door itself makes no promises. It's only a door. Any thoughts on that? What the theme is? Obviously a door. For me, I think it reminded me of, and still is, the plight of people coming into this country, and how much of an open door do we have, and what happens when we try to be here. And I have many, many stories of the past with my grandparents and so forth. That was a theme that hit me interest in that. Anybody else want to jump in on anything like that? You good? All right. So mine is called The Door. Actually, it was very funny. I read this and then picked the poem out of one of my books, and then yesterday I looked at it and I thought, why did I pick that poem? It has nothing to do with this poem. So I wrote this poem. The Door. One of my grandfathers told a story about him being a child coming to this country, that a brother met him at immigration, told him his name was Richmond. Keep telling them your name is Richmond. You're a Richmond. His real name is unknown by his own kids. The grandkids can never remember it. Another story was everyone within 2-block area all changed their names. When looking for work, if they heard your name, they would hang up the phone. If you gave a name that they liked, you could at least show up, get your foot in the door. When they saw you, they knew that wasn't your name. You didn't match this name. At least you got your foot in the door. Sometimes it would be slammed. The ones who survived found ways to get their foot in the door. Woo! The door. That's basically, I tied the door in, didn't I? I tied the door in.
The whole absurdity of the door.
Many faces.
In many places, the door, and who stands at the door, and who lets you in, and I think it's somewhat forgot. I didn't, now we hear lots of things in terms of Mexico and immigrants trying to cross the border and this, and I just realized, the history of Eastern European and folks trying to get in, how much it was complicated, and that they had to change their names. And that one of those stories was, you said your name, Yashashki, and somebody's like, okay, we know who you are, or whatever it was. And so I said, yep, that's a problem. And Richmond's a nice sounding name of who knows what. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Russian here.
Dina Sander is a poet and published writer, as well as an ordained certified celebrant of life, death, and everything in between. She holds a BA in meditation, or mediation. I'm sure she meditates specifically, and conflict resolution. So if anything goes wrong here, she's going to move it out. She has a way in her writing of bringing everything back around, just making you feel so good, everything's going to be okay. And she's going to read For the Man Who Spun Plates by John Hodgson.
Kindly. So I'm, from now on, going to let people make up my bios because they come out great. That was wonderful. Thank you.
It's true,
It's
though,
all
right?
true. There's nothing in there that wasn't true. I chose For the Man Who Spun Plates because I had been thinking of him, like that week. And I chose that poem, and then I sat with it for a while, and I wrote another one to read with it for here. For the Man Who Spun Plates. On the old Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday nights before Topo Gigio, the Dancing Mouse, before the Beatles and the Mercy Beat, before we all knew all we needed was love, someone to kiss us goodnight, there was a man who spun plates on long, slender poles, keeping them spinning with the tips of his fingers, running from one side of the stage to the other, the crowd calling out to him when a plate started wobbling, the man so intently spinning plates in the air, a little like Jesus before the Last Supper, keeping his disciples' halos from falling. The crowd, like the masses with the bread and fishes, crying, "Judas, watch! Judas, his halo is falling!" Jesus too busy holding up the world, and sometimes he'd miss one, and we'd all see it fall, shatter like crystal all over the stage, and we loved him even more then because he was real, working as hard as the devil was. But we didn't know then that our lives would break too. My good friend whose daughter just drowned in Brazil, his plates all come down like a crockery sea. He tries to lift her up again, get her life spinning, as if he could raise her from under the waves that keep falling one after another like shimmering plates on the sea. So this is cool because it rocks a little. And also, with my voice, if I'm looking at the page, my voice resonates in the metal. And it's like this little buzz up through my hands. This is a poem called Rolling in the Deep. I have memories of being little in a house on a tree-lined street in New Jersey where I sat on the living room floor in front of the black and white TV, watching the evening news and the man spinning plates on the Ed Sullivan Show. I remember learning to look both ways twice before crossing the street, the smell of worms on the sidewalk after a spring rain, the sting of rejection when I wasn't invited to play with the other kids even though I was too old enough. I remember pulling sleds to the churchyard and flying down the hill too fast, too scared, laughing too hard to cry. I remember being caught in the surf, tumbled by a wave that swept legs out from under, grabbing breath. It tossed me head over toe through effervescent foam and scraping sand, head over toe, over head over toe, spinning like a plate till I was done rolling in the deep. In the dream time, all of these memories play themselves out in black and white and technicolor, a vivid holographic "this is your life," each presented whole and simultaneously on plates spinning at the top of poles, but with no man at the bottom to correct the wobble. I awake splayed out in the roiled surf of memory, just little old me awash in the flotsam of time, getting ready for another day of spinning plates in the really big show, because whatever it costs us, it turns out we are never done with rolling in the deep. Does anybody else does anybody else remember the spinning plate guy?
Yeah.
And more than once, and that whole intersection between vaudeville and television, that Ed Sullivan kind of bridge. And if you're young, you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, but look for the spinning plate guy on YouTube and imagine it as like the entertainment that millions of Americans were sitting in the front of their TV mesmerized by.
Well, it is very suspenseful.
It's like, whoa, and how do you do that? And there's like 15 of them, and it's like that, the whole thing. But I was watching the guy spinning plates in my head just the other day, because life feels so often. So thank you very much.
I think that's right. I think that's why people really resonated with it, because life was, one more thing and one more thing, and can you keep it all going, and one more thing, and
And oops.
Yeah.
Right.
But then the oops, and you keep going. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember it used to make me so nervous. Oh, please don't drop one. The stress was so much. Our next our next reader is our new children's librarian, and her name is Mia Cabana. And we walked around before she came, and we still do saying, Mia Cabana, Mia Cabana. That beautiful name, oh, Mia Cabana. And she was an English major at Smith College, where her greatest claim to poetic fame was that she lived in the same house that Sylvia Plath lived in while she was a student. And she loves poetry for all ages, from Charles Silverstein to T.S. Eliot. And we will be reading Sea Grapes by Derek Walcott, and not an easy poem.
Thank you. Sea Grapes. That sail which leans on light, tired of islands, a schooner beating up the Caribbean for home, could be Odysseus, homebound on the Aegean. That father and husband's longing under gnarled sour grapes is like the adulterer hearing Nausicaa's name in every gull's outcry. This brings nobody peace. The ancient war between obsession and responsibility will never finish and has been the same for the sea wanderer or the one on shore, now wriggling on his sandals to walk home. Since Troy sighed its last flame, and the blind giant's shoulder heaves the trough from whose groundswell the great hexameters come to the conclusion of exhausted surf. The classics can console, but not So I think that what really resonated for me in this poem is the last line: the classics can console, but not enough. Sometimes no amount of books, even as one who's surrounded by them every day, is a fair substitute for life experience, which leads into my poem, written a very long time ago. It's called Moving Out, and it's about moving out of my family home the first time. I recently moved again, and there's nothing like moving to really make you think about the things of this world and why you have so many of them and why they're so heavy. But this first moving out was at the end of college when I'm full of book learning, and also had recently lost my mother. So it was very significant moving out in a lot of ways. On a morning that grew gray, our neighborhood stood quiet as we ferried the boxes from my room to the old black van, waiting with the patience and latent destruction of a slumbering bear. From house to street, like Sharon, we laughed on the tide, almost effortlessly let them carry us along. Whoever thought this passage would be so easy, so flowing, as we passed their pennies from over our lips under our tongues. It wasn't until I looked back to see you, as you always were, waiting on the porch, and you not there, that I realized at last we stood on different sides. Then the bright copper coins slipped through my fingers, and I was no longer so sure. As they dropped down the storm drains with a far-distant splash, and for you I will wander 100 years on the shore.
I like your poem better.
Oh.
Sea Grapes. Wow. I think that's what the common thread is an intimacy that we share. You know, when you read poetry and you share your heart and these ideas, it's an intimate thing, and it's a wonderful thing. It does transform people. Our closer today is Amy Bryant, the winner of the Book Award for Poetry 2014 for Glass Circle. And she has another book, How I Got Lost So Close to Home. And she has worked in literacy for years. We worked together. We were just saying, or I went to one of her things she was doing for literacy, and she was having a baby at the time. Well, she was having a baby.
A long time ago.
Very close to having that baby. And just sat with people and shared writing and shared words. And she's really a great person and poet. She's going to read The Birthing by Deborah Diggs. Just and a poem of her own. Amy Bryant.
Pressure to be the closer. Here we are. So, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be in this event. And just want to appreciate again the Poetry Out Loud readers. I'm so happy to
to hear those poems in your voices, and you read them so beautifully and with such clarity, and I love those poets, so thank you. What you're doing is really important, saying those words and keeping those poems alive. So I'm going to read and invite you to talk about a poem by Deborah Diggs and one of my own. I think it's really hard to talk about a poem that you've heard once, even if it is on the screen for like a very brief period of time. So, we'll do the best we can. I read this poem 12 times, so I really have a head start on you. But before I start with the poems, I just wanted to, usually we don't talk about the poet, we talk about the poems, but I really wanted just to say a little bit about Deborah Diggs because she was one of my first teachers, and she was really important to me. When I went back to school when I was 30 to study poetry, and I went to a program where you work one-on-one with a mentor very closely, and it was her first semester in this program. It was my first semester in this program. And we sort of stumbled through together, and she was incredibly kind and generous, and really was an antidote to a lot of the really terrible, scary teachers I have had in my life with poetry. So I was very grateful to her. And also, weirdly, right before Candace asked me to be part of this event, I had just written a poem about her because she actually took her life in 2009. And then I looked at the poems that were part of the Common Threads packet, and there was one of hers. So I had to choose that. And then, when I was thinking about, well, what poem do I have that resonates with this, you'll see when I talk about the poem, I have this other piece which is that I have a very close friend who just lost her son, and I was writing a poem about that and thinking about Deborah and reading her poem and thinking about the Common Threads theme, love and what calls you to the things of this world, and it all sort of came together in a really interesting way, thinking about what love requires of us as humans who live in a beautiful but also sometimes a really difficult and heartbreaking world. So I'm going to read Deborah's to start, The Birthing. Is there a way to keep it up there for a little bit, or does it have to go right back to the thing? Oh. All right, well then I would just say, this poem is called The Birthing. But I just want you to pay attention to the language of the poem because I don't want to be like Debbie Downer or anything, but there's a lot about death in this poem, and that I think is what creates such an interesting tension in the poem. The Birthing. Call out the names in procession of the lost. Call from the blood the ancestors here to bear witness to the day he stopped the car. We on our way to a great banquet in his honor. In a field, a cow groaned, lowing, trying to give birth, what he called front leg presentation. The calf came out nose first, one front leg dangling from his mother. A fatal sign, he said, while rolling up the sleeves of his dress shirt and climbed the fence. I watched him thrust his arm entire into the yet-to-be, where I imagined holy sparrows scattering in the hall of souls for his big mortal hands just to make way. With his whole weight, he pushed the calf back in the mother and grasped the other leg, tucked up like a closed wing against the new one's shoulder, and found a way in the warm dark to bring both legs out into the world together. Then heaved and pulled the cow, arching her back, until a bull calf in a whoosh of blood and water came falling whole and still onto the meadow. We rubbed the blackness, bloodying our hands. The mother licked the newborn of us oblivious a little struggle. I ran to get our coats, mine a green velvet cloak, and his tuxedo jacket, and worked to rub the new one dry while he set out to find the farmer. When it was over, the new calf suckling his mother, the farmer soon to lead them to the barn. Leaving our coats just where they lay, we huddled in the car, and then made love toward eternity. Without a word, drove slowly home, and loved some more. So, the question I had about that poem, maybe you can chime in, is sort of what is being birthed here? What is being born in this story? You know, which ostensibly is like, okay, fancy people dressed up to go to a banquet, see a cow struggling, get out of the car, help cow, get back in the car, make love, go home, make love again. So what is the story about, and why was that their reaction to the birthing into that? For me, it was just the sense of, and this language of, you know, the ancestors, the holy sparrow, the hall of souls, the warm dark. It's like everything underneath the poem is like the darkness that is the darkness underneath the undercurrent, and yet the light that is also existing side by side with the darkness, and how much we need that light and need to affirm that light. So that's what I took.
Also, just his actions, it sounded like she really, almost as if there was some connection between them, and in the darkness, he always reaches in, or, I mean, I don't know if it's the object, but it didn't seem like there was much discussion there. Suddenly he was over the fence, trying to figure out what to do, and mysteriously watching, managed to help make it happen.
Yeah, and she's a little bit of a spectator until the end, too.
There's also something about intimacy. He's a very active figure, or he's an animal. And, you know, this tension between life and death is in Catherine, and there's another very amazing. And then that, you know, the love making, which is, you know, also a great act of intimacy, and also kind of a tension sometimes between, you know, living and dying, kind of that experience.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
She becomes active after she runs and gets her green velvet cloak.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about that green velvet cloak. Yeah. I think that's very elegant. Any other comments? So I'm going to read the poem that I wrote during this time, and just checking to see if there's anything I need to say about it. Anybody did you ever play this game, Would You Rather? Do you know what I'm talking about? So can you say what it is?
Basically, when somebody, would you rather like walk up a cliff or walk along a road and make one?
Right. Would you rather be on a desert island with an alligator, or in the middle of the ocean with a shark?
Or it feels like you're walking down like a road, looking at like a pond or a lake. You just sit there and just meditate and see and look at the beauty of creation and the beauty of the earth. Yeah.
This one is called It Rushes In, for Max and Men. How can I live? She asked, and I make her an answer. It's what I can give. Velvet-lined box, torn wrapping, silly hair. We contain only so much. Our thousand breaths, our pleas and prayers. We reach for each other in the dark. We want to love. But something treacherous seeps in. A frozen lake, opening an eye and shutting it, opening a mouth and closing it. question floats. The question insists. The dentist drills my teeth with it. The cashier hands it back to me with my small change. I can't blink it away. The permanent empty space his absence makes, the no going back, fills my mouth and lungs, ends my sentences. I keep choosing it without wanting to, like the would you rather game we sometimes play from our safe perches. Would you rather die of thirst or hunger, burn or freeze? I would rather not suffer. I would rather not watch. I would breathe the mud smell of this slow spring, tight green buds on the lilac.
See, you are a closer. Put that in your bio now. We'll close for her. We'll close. Oh, thank you all so much for coming. It meant a lot to us. Please stay and talk and eat food and commune.